Knotting shuttle. You'll need a few items for knotting. First is a knotting shuttle. It should be about 4 to 6 inches long, and there are a few places that sell them online. Just do a search to find them. Also, some of them run a little small. They are still good to try, but if you need to use a lot of thicker threads and want to keep it all in the same strand, you might be limited with how much you can load onto the shuttle if it's a smaller size. Thread. I've found one of the best types of threads to use is crochet thread. Try to find the thicker size, although you might still have luck with the thinner sizes. Threads like embroidery floss or even yarns have separate strands that pull apart too easily, and the result is not smooth enough or makes spacing and control over the knots more difficult. Keep an eye out for anything that looks like it would knot easily and stay that way, though. It never hurts to try it and see if you like the results. Scissors. Small embroidery scissors work great, especially if they have a pointy, sharp tip. It makes snipping threads close to the spool in narrower shuttles a little easier. Storage. And finally, you'll want something to hold your knotted threads. Cards or spools that can hold thicker amounts of thread work great. You might also consider a small bag to hold the threads to keep them together and organized. If the bag has drawstrings, you can wear it on your left wrist to catch the knotted length and keep it from dragging on the floor. This video is to show you how to load your knotting shuttle. Now, if you notice, there is a hole in the center spool, and it's kind of small actually, and especially with a small knotting shuttle like this is probably one of the smaller ones. It's about 4 inches long. That's just kind of a small hole to try to thread your yarn or your thread through. I'm using a crochet size 3 thread, and actually I would have liked to have gotten a little thicker, but I was kind of limited with what I had to choose from. What I prefer to do actually is to even skip this whole threading, and while you might waste a little bit at the end because of this technique, it's just quicker and easier. So what I do is I take the thread and I lay the end of the palm of my hand. This is like the same way you would set your knitting or crochet needles going. It's I guess a slip knot. And I lay the thread across my hand, wrap it clockwise, and let it fall back behind, and then you get this thread going across the back of your loop. Then I take the knotting shuttle and I pick up that piece that's going through the middle across the back, and I just connect it and tighten my slip knot up, and you could even trim off that end to shorten the tail a little. And what you do, you just make sure that it's nice and tight, and then you start wrapping. I don't pull too much, I just like to get it going so it'll actually catch. But then you start wrapping evenly around the spool, and like I said, unfortunately with thicker or longer lengths, you can't get quite as much on here as you could with a really big knotting shuttle. This is why I think a larger knotting shuttle would probably be better, but you can get enough on here to at least get a decent length and thickness. Now of course this is one side of it, and I do like to occasionally turn it to make sure that it's not bulging too much or getting uneven on the other side. Just gives me an idea of how to evenly space everything so I can fit as much on here as I can without as much trouble. And this is a pretty slender knotting shuttle, and I go ahead and fill it as much as I can just because I like to work in longer lengths. What I don't use, I just clip and I save it for later. And as you can see, I've got some overhang. This is not too bad. I mean, if you don't like doing that, or you just don't want to risk potentially damaging your thread if it's particularly fragile, just go ahead and stop wherever you're comfortable. This doesn't bother me. This entire shuttle fits nicely in your hand. It's very comfortable. You can move it through a loop easily. So that's about as much as I'll probably load on there, and then I just clip the end and I'm ready to go. And that's how you load your knotting shuttle.